Ever thought, can a vegan steak be better than a real thing? Well, I've road tested the top vegan steak recipes and I've come up with my favourite. I'm going to battle that out against today, the 330 gram rump steak. Here goes. To road test my vegan steak recipes, I've tried a few little things here. My first one is some aubergine. I've literally just cut this in that steak shape. And then I've added some key seasonings in there, a bit of thyme, some soy sauce, and some seasoning as well. I've baked that off, but then I've put it on a griddle pan and I've cooked this. And you can see this is how it looks. It's a nice steak. I don't know whether it's a real vegan steak. And from tasting it, it was, as you would suspect, just lots of aubergine. My second one was using chickpeas and using a variety of different ingredients there, tomato puree and some seasoning. Also some vital wheat gluten, which basically makes this steak a lot thicker and just gives it that texture, which is good for cooking off. And then after that, I shaped this into a big steak. And for this recipe, I put it in the oven. My second one was with lentils. Again, lots of different ingredients going in there. Some onions, some tomato puree, lots of different things. And a bit more vital wheat gluten. After shaping these steaks, I've decided to steam them. I've wrapped this in some foil. And then I'm going to put it in the steamer for 25-30 minutes and let this steam away. Whilst that is steaming, I've got my first steak on the go. This is baked in the oven, and I've got this really simple marinade, soy sauce, maple syrup and paprika. Pour that over and it gives this really nice glossy sauce. And you can see that's how the finished steak looked. Certainly a lot of colour, and for me it definitely looks like a steak, which is a real positive. Now for these steamed lentil steaks. They've come out, I've let them cool a little bit. I'm going to put this into a hot pan to get some colour. Now this marinade that I've used for this actually has many more ingredients. It's got some mustard in there, it's got plenty of soy sauce. This whole thing has watered out a little bit and it hasn't worked quite as well for the sauce. After testing those three steaks, I thought the aubergine was okay, but maybe tasted a bit like vegetable. The chickpea was alright, but the texture of being baked in the oven didn't work quite as well. But the lentil one, I think, had the best flavour, had the best texture. To actually cook my ultimate steak, I've chosen to go with the lentils. So I put some lentils into my food processor, a little bit of onion, also some garlic, tomato puree, some soy sauce, vegetable stock powder, some yellow mustard, some chilli, twisted black pepper, and some thyme broken in. At this stage I blitz, or maybe not. Take two, that's much better. Got a nice consistency there. I'm going to add just a touch of water, and you can see this will allow it to blend a lot quicker and a lot easier. Now we've got all of that blended up, we've got all of those ingredients. We're going to add in a really good amount of vital wheat gluten, and you can see it just brings it all together. And that's the sort of consistency you're looking for. We need to shape these into two medium-sized steaks. My goal here is to shape this so it looks like a real steak. Once these have been shaped, we can put them into our steamer and let that steam 25-30 minutes until they're really nicely cooked. Once they're cooked, I'm going to let this cool down slightly. And you can see this is a beautiful rump steak. This is from my local butcher, so the beef is sourced locally. I'm going to season this really generously with some crushed salt and some black pepper. Now for this really simple marinade I was talking about. Soy sauce, maple syrup and smoked paprika. As simple as that. Bring it together to form a really nice consistency, and that's it. It's that simple. To cook my vegan steaks, olive oil into the pan. Really hot pan here. You want the steaks to get a really nice amount of colour. Just cook them for about 5-6 minutes. Get that colour on there. Pour on the marinade. Spoon that over, and then you have some really delicious vegan plant-based steaks. Very tasty. And for this meat steak, we've got this rump steak generously seasoned into a very hot pan with a touch of oil. then some garlic and some thyme, also a touch of butter. Moving this around, use a spoon to baste it over. Cook this for about 4 or 5 minutes until it's medium rare, and then I'm going to add in some finely diced onion and some Dijon mustard, and then some port. You could use red wine as well. Lastly, a bit of beef stock. Reduce this down, add in a touch of butter, and you've got yourself a really beautiful glossy sauce. I'm serving this up with some green beans, some sautéed potatoes cooked with garlic in the oven, a beautiful rump steak, and there you have our vegan offering as well, that lovely lentil plant-based steak. Both are delicious steaks, and now here's for the taste test. Number one, we've got our lentil steak cooked in the pan with that lovely sticky kind of marinade, so simple to do. And of course we've got the rump steak. Now I want to do a little taste test just to see how amazing these steaks are tasting. I'm going to be brutally honest and just kind of say which I prefer. Presentation wise, I almost prefer the vegan steak. I actually really like how that's looking. It's just got a really nice appearance to it, and I think the garnish there with the potatoes and beans is very nice. Let's dive into steak one, the vegan steak, and I'll tell you what it's like. The steak certainly has a lot of flavour, quite high in soy, which is nice. That nice tomatoey flavour coming through as well. A nice texture, maybe a little bit mushy. The outside has got a nice bit of colour, but I guess with vegetables, when you cook it on a high heat, you need a bit of oil there just to get that kind of crispiness. I think the marinade, the sauce over the top, really helps it as well. It's a nice steak, definitely good for a kind of vegan diet, or if you are a vegan yourself, this is a good steak to cook. I like it as a carnivore, as a meat eater. It is good. I wouldn't say it necessarily satisfies my taste buds as much as regular steak would, but a very good meat alternative. Let's dive into the rump steak and see what that's like. As you would expect, much firmer texture when you're cutting through it. It requires a little bit more effort. The steak though is a lovely flavour. I really like the sauce with it. I think the onion, the mustard and everything works very nicely together. The whole point of today's video though was to really push the boundaries and experiment a little bit with a vegan steak. And as I road tested the lentils, the chickpeas, the aubergine, just a couple of different ingredients to see which was the best one, I definitely feel that this lentil gives a really satisfying, delicious steak. Give it yourself a go at home. Why not drop a comment below, tell me which steak you prefer. Maybe you're a vegan, maybe you eat meat, but even if you're a meat eater, I'd be really curious to know which steak is going to be your favourite. Thank you for watching everybody, and see you next time.